Welcome to Late Party, where we talk about things after the hype has died down, and today we will be talking about. So when I think about DC Comics, I'm gonna be real, I do not think about the magic or mysticism side of it at all. But reading Day of Vengeance really opened my eye to it, and it was really fun to see all these new characters I've never heard about interact. But before we talk about Day of Vengeance, let me just give you guys a little background to Day of Vengeance and the things behind it and the things leading up to it. So basically, Day of Vengeance was made as a prelude to Infinite Crisis, which is this big collaboration between all these DC superheroes, and it resets the DC canon, and this happened in the 2000s, so 20 years ago. And basically what it tried to do was make all the magic and mysticism characters more simplified, kind of like the New 52, if you guys know what that is. But yeah, it just tried make it more digestible for newer readers. And for me, it worked. I didn't really know much about the magic and mysticism side except for Shazam, I guess. And I read a bit of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing before this. But other than that, I barely knew anything. I think I watched an episode of the Batman TV show with Detective Chimp in it. But that could just be me replacing some other character with Detective Chimp. But I'm pretty sure the Detective Chimp was in it. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, let's just summarize the plot real quick before we go into this review. Basically, the Spectre, who if you don't know is the spirit of vengeance, usually has to have a host, but he does not have a host and he becomes unbound because Hal Jordan, who is Green Lantern and was the host, has been revived or something. I don't really remember, honestly, but he gets detached from the Spectre, and now the Spectre is without a host, and then this new person called Calypso, who's actually Sue Dibney, the ex-wife of Ray Palmer, who does some bad things in Identity Crisis. I'm just gonna do a shameless plug to my Identity Crisis video. Make sure you guys watch that if you want to see an Identity Crisis review. But anyways, yeah, Calypso seduces the spirit of vengeance, and now the Spectre thinks magic's evil. So Enchantress has to team up with a bunch of other magic people, like Detective Chimp, who is a talking monkey. That's a detective. It's amazing. Blue Devil, Nightmaster, and Ragman. And they're underdogs trying to fight against basically a literal god. And it's really, really fun. And also, the Phantom Stranger becomes a beetle. And also Shazam is part of this. And that's one of the only characters I knew, other than Spectre, who I saw in Quiver. But Shazam is basically the main fighter against Spectre. And it's really fun to see those magic fights. It's honestly just throwing punches, but there is some magic involved with some other fights. But yeah, mainly the big ones were just throwing a lot of big punches. But yeah, it's basically the plot of Days of Vengeance. Quick summary. But yeah, it's honestly, it's a action-packed comic with magic characters that you may not know, and it's really fun and also funny. It kind of reminds me of that trope where it's a ragtag group of people try being this really big boss, Guardians of the Galaxy. It just reminds me of that, and it's fun. It's a prelude to Infinite Crisis, so if you want to read Infinite Crisis, I would suggest reading it. And it's an introduction to basically the magic world, and if you're interested in it, I would recommend reading it, because then you can get into other stuff like Swamp Thing, which I still need to finish Alan Moore's Swamp Thing, but trust me, that thing is good. It is so good. But yeah, Day of Vengeance is really fun. You don't really get to see the cool magic and mysticism parts of DC sometimes. So yeah, seeing it and seeing all these characters, it's just it's fun seeing new stuff, And even in the movies, the DC movies don't really cover the magic and mysticism part. I heard they are making a Swamp Thing movie, which I'm really looking forward to. But yeah, it's just, if you're looking for something new, it's refreshing if you haven't seen it. If you have, then that means you probably already read this issue, which, let me know in the comments if it was good or not in your opinion, but I thought it was pretty good. I liked it to a decent amount, not to the Identity Crisis amount. Identity Crisis, for me, was just more well written and just more tragic. Day of Vengeance didn't really have that. It was more like fun. There was like a scary threat if the heroes lost, but I just didn't really feel like the human tragedy, you know, that Identity Crisis did so well with the Elastic Man. And yeah, it's honestly not the best of the Prelude to Infinite Crisis, but I still think it's worth reading, and it's just a fun read, and it's not too long. So yeah, read it. Let me know if you like it or not, and thank you guys for watching. Subscribe.